Our second guest is already here, Attorney Ava Ramel, the legal officer of Makati City. Magandang hapon, Attorney, and welcome to Storycon.
Hello po, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Attorney.
Thank you for joining us, Ma'am. We're reading with quite a lot of fascination itong issue about yung arbitration and settlement dun sa Makati Subway. We read, for example, that the incoming, the mayor, Nancy Binay, says na mga 8.9 billion ang kinumit ng previous administration ng Makati to paying PhilDev 7 days before yung assumption ng new term. So may back and forth pa eh. We're wondering, was there any deadline for that commitment to be made, yung 8.9 billion? Or could it not have been passed on to the next administration to make a decision?
Well, based on the documents that we have, which we, specifically the settlement agreement which we just received on June 30, 2025, the first day of Mayor Nancy Binay in office. So when we received this document, we made a key determination that this is a legally flawed agreement.
A legally flawed agreement?
Because there is no existing appropriation. Plus, it is a grossly disadvantageous contract because it puts the city in a financial distress. No? So, because there are no funds allocated for it, should we be made to pay this amount, the operations of the City Hall will be greatly disrupted. The project and even the benefits due to the residents of Makati will also be affected.
Mm-hmm.
So, when we learned of this settlement agreement,
Attorney Femi, sorry, I should have briefed our viewers first about the issue kasi sumama ko bigla sa tanong eh. Just for the backgrounder, yung Makati Subway po kasi ay na-cancel dahil naglipat ng ilang barangay, including yung some of the substations sa Taguig City, yung mga embos. So na-cancel, nagkaroon ng arbitration between yung dapat ay developer at yung city government.
Yes.
At yan po ngayon ang pinag-aawayan kung anong settlement.
They went to SIAC, the Singapore International Arbitration Center, and until today nga, the news broke na si new Mayor Nancy Binay is questioning the 8.9 billion peso settlement that Makati City agreed to pay the developer because hindi natuloy yung project.
Yun po. Sorry po, I just need to put that on the table kasi baka lost yung mga nanonood sa atin eh. Bigla akong nagtanong. Anyway, sige po.
But to can I just follow up on Ed's question? Was there a deadline as far as you know? Kasi baka naman kaya sinayin nung June 23, just 7 days before she stepped down, was because there was a deadline. Are you aware?
Yes. No, there was no deadline. There is a pending arbitration proceeding. The parties are in the process of filing their respective pleadings. And then, sometime in June, the parties informed the tribunal that there are ongoing negotiations. And it was at this time that we discovered that there is resolution already authorizing the previous administration to enter into a settlement agreement. So it was a move by the parties to enter into a settlement agreement to stop the or to settle the arbitration proceedings. There was no deadline to speak of, so it would have been possible for the previous administration to let the arbitration proceedings be handled by the next administration.
Okay,
there was no deadline to speak of.
Okay, so that's clear. There was no deadline to speak of. But can I just ask very quickly, who came up with the $160 million figure, as far as you know?
Well, we are not privy to the settlement agreement, so we cannot confirm how the 116 million US dollars or 8.9 billion pesos was arrived at actually. So, but what we know is that there is no existing appropriation for this settlement agreement.
Pero attorney, I understand kasi nag-issue din ng statement yung office ni former Mayor Ava Ramel yan, no, na sinasabi niya with the settlement, pwede na mag-take over daw ang Makati over the subway project and eventually itutuloy na that dahil nag-pull out nga yung contractor and Makati can pick its own contractor, pwede nang tuloy-tuloy at hindi mapupunta sa tagig yung, well, that's my understanding nung story na lumabas. Tama ba yung ganong interpretation ng settlement?
Well, one of the terms of the settlement agreement po is that should we pay that amount, the 8.9 billion pesos, Infradev will transfer the shares into the shares in MTSI in favor of the Makati City government.
Yes.
So that's one of the terms. But determining whether or not it will be a beneficial transaction for the city government of Makati is a different matter altogether. And that our initial assessment is that this is a legally flawed agreement. So
So, anong remedy yung pinopropose niyo, attorney?
Wala po
In lieu of,
Sorry?
kung ganito na there's a new city government, there's a new mayor, and anyway, in charge of the city government, ano yung proposal niya kung sakasakali? Kasi mukhang nagkapirmahan na eh.
Opo. Well, at the moment, before the arbitral tribunal acts on this, wala pa naman po kasing consent award. So, we are requesting the arbitral tribunal to give the new administration, the city government of Makati, time within which to study the files, to study the legality and the authority utilized to enter into that settlement agreement. So that is the stage where we are at.
Do you think there was in any way undue haste, or do you think there was some sort of irregularity in the way that the agreement was signed, considering it was 7 days before the next administration took over?
Well, the timing is actually highly suspicious because the city council authorized the entry into that transaction in June 20, and then the settlement agreement was signed on June 23. So just 7 days before their term ends. No? And what happens is that the new administration has a burden to settle this amount should this be implemented. So the timing is really suspicious. In addition to the fact that there is no existing appropriation for this transaction, despite a specific provision in the settlement agreement where they stated that the Makati City government has already made appropriate budgetary allocations for this. So this is contrary to what we to the facts right now, because based on a certification issued by the budget department, there is no existing appropriations for the settlement.
Attorney, but is it also not true that, I mean, of course, there's no existing appropriation for this because this was an unforeseen event. And actually, in the response that former Mayor Abby issued today, she says she left Makati with 30 billion pesos in cash, consistent revenue increases, and 8 straight unmodified COA opinions. And she says the city can well afford to pay this without disrupting the services and projects.
Well, the truth, the fact still remains that they made a warranty in the settlement agreement to the effect that the appropriate budgetary allocations have been made. And as of now, we have a certification from the budget department that there is no allocation or budget appropriation for this transaction. So that's what we have right now. And regardless if there are other funds, there are steps that needs to be taken. And,
Attorney, itong mga sinasabi ninyo, no, yung mga options ba that you are considering, are you considering criminal indictments kung sakasakali for maybe abuse of authority or graft, or meron ba kayong ganong kinoconsider against the previous city government?
Well, Mayor Nancy wants that all legal remedies will be explored. So if there are persons responsible who need to be made accountable, then we will see to it that they are made accountable. So we are still in the process of collating all these documents and studying the current status of this transaction, and that we will make the appropriate action as may be necessary to address it. So the current administration wants to ensure that the interests of the Makati residents are protected.
Also, we understand na there are personal issues involved, no? Kasi magkapatid yan hindi rin, but of course, we have to ask the question, hindi ba nag-uusap, wala bang balak mag-usap yung magkapatid and to talk it out, ano nangyari, ate, ano, ganon? Any exploratory talks at all between the former and current city governments, the two mayors at least?
Well, I cannot answer that po. So unfortunately, I'm not in a position to answer that. So, but as of now, the law department is handling the arbitration proceedings, and that's where we are directing the available remedies at the moment. And we hope to file our definitive position before the arbitral tribunal within the week.
Yeah.
So,
The other thing that former Mayor Abby was saying was that actually, if you drag out this arbitration, it's going to cost the LGU more. She says that initially, InfraDev filed claims of $1.7 billion. Again, let me repeat, $1.7 billion in claims when it initiated arbitration in April of 2025. Given this is a multi-billion-dollar project that did not push through, of course, it has a lot of costs that they had to shoulder, right? So when they went to arbitration, they initially filed for $1.7 billion, and now it's been taken down to $160 million. And former Mayor Abby's point was that if you had dragged out this arbitration, it would have cost the city much more. What is the incumbent's response to that?
Well, we don't know what the result of the arbitration proceedings will be had the settlement agreement not been entered into by the parties. So we can't really fully assess how this would turn out if we didn't enter into this transaction and we weren't obligated to pay 8.9 billion pesos. So we're still studying really the files, and as of now, we think that the settlement agreement is flawed and grossly disadvantageous to the Makati.
I get what you're saying, attorney. That's my point as well. You're already alleging a gross mismanagement at this point in time and irregularities, but there seems to be a lot of details that we still don't know at this point, right? So you also can't confirm your $1.7 billion figure in initial claims that InfraDev had filed, whether that's true or not, and also whether there's been the fact that former Mayor Abby says there has been allocation for this. So I guess the bigger question being, how sure are you that there has been irregularities in this case and that the city cannot afford this?
Well, first and foremost, when we studied the settlement agreement, there was already a warranty that the Makati City government has made appropriate budgetary allocation. So that's the first thing that we had to determine whether or not there was an appropriation for this, and there was none. So the other terms of the settlement agreement, we have yet to make a final position on. We are making the necessary pleading, which we will file to the arbitral tribunal, and will furnish you and the rest of Makati of a copy of that. We will ensure that we will be transparent, and we will inform you when we have that final position already filed with the arbitral tribunal. But we cannot comment as of the moment whether or not it would be beneficial for us to enter into the settlement agreement, because the claims of InfraDev, the 1.7 billion initial claims in the arbitration proceedings are just their claims. They have not proven it, and we have not defended our position at the moment. So,
Pero attorney, you said at the start that your office found it to be grossly disadvantageous.
Kaya nga
Let me put it this way na po. As far as your office is concerned, do you see any liabilities, legal liabilities, whether administrative or criminal, on the part of the former mayor, si Ava Ramel, with regard to this contract, which you have said to be grossly disadvantageous and legally flawed to begin with?
right now, we are still in the process of studying the facts. So we will conduct an investigation, and in due course, we will be able to determine what our next actions would be. But at the moment, we are before the arbitral tribunal, and we are set to file our petition on the settlement agreement. With respect to the determination that this is grossly disadvantageous, we took a look at the budget for social services, and that it's less than 8.9 billion. So we're just saying that if we utilize this amount just to pay for the settlement agreement, then those social services for which budget has been appropriated will be affected.
Would be defunded.
Yes. So that's why we say that it's a grossly disadvantageous agreement.
Attorney, pahabol na lang. Can we say na go pa rin yung subway project? Is the new Makati City government still interested in pursuing the subway project? Kasi sa ngayon, tingin namin it's in limbo.
Well, hindi pa po namin naaral ng maigi for us to be able to say already kung itutuloy ba natin o hindi. So wala pa po kami doon. Binubuo pa po namin yung records namin, and as we've mentioned, this issue, this settlement agreement came as a surprise to us. So hindi po agad-agad makaka-decide yung current administration on how to address the project at the moment. But we will, at the proper time, address this issue.
Okay.
Okay, we'll leave that there for now and circle back to you at a later time once you have more updates. Thank you so much for joining Storycon today, Attorney Ava Ramel, City Legal Officer of Makati.
Maraming salamat po,
Thank
attorney.
you, Attorney.